Republicans and visitors, welcome to the March Putnam Republican Club meeting. Everybody have a seat and we'll get started. Buddy, would you do the prayer? Please stand for the prayer. Thank you. Remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. First, I'd like to recognize dignitaries, office holders, candidates. So first off, anybody that currently holds a political office, please stand, state your name and what office you hold. And we'll start over here.
Paul Adamsack, County Commission, District 5.
Linda Myers, your Putnam County Tax Collector.
Rick Cersei, your Putnam County Superintendent.
Any other office holders? Okay, candidates. Even if you rose as an office holder and you're a candidate, please just start again.
Paul Adamsack, candidate for Superintendent of Schools.
Unless Sons, I'm running for County Commissioner, District 3. Buddy Goddard, I'm running County Commissioner.
Rick, did you announce? Did you state that you're running?
Oh yeah, I'm running.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Next, I'd like to honor veterans. Anybody that is a veteran, please stand and let us recognize you. I'm guessing we've got a few visitors tonight. If you are a visitor, would you please stand? We'd love to have you join the club and join us every month. We'll be continuing these forums through the rest of the election season. All right, new members tonight, members that have joined tonight, would you please stand? Thank you very much. Again, welcome. We're starting the forums that will go through August when the primary is, and they'll tell them what we'll do between the primary and the general election. Most races hopefully will be decided by then. There is currently a voting going on in Putnam County, and that is for our presidential preference, Republican presidential preference primary vote. And I'm begging that you go vote. Because I worked the polls in Crescent City on voting day, the 19th, and I sure don't want to be sitting there twiddling my thumbs all day. So please come out and vote. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the forum, and right now I'd like to introduce Rhonda, who will come up and talk a little bit about it, and then we'll talk about the rules and start the forum. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So I'm Rhonda Williams. Good evening. Glad to see so many smiling faces here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. So what we wanted to start out by telling everyone is this is the Putnam Republican Club. And so how we would do things in the club would be different than what it would be done in the general public. So I know you're used to going to forums that might be a forum for the public at the women's club or here at the college in another building. Here in the Republican Club, we have rules that we have to follow. Candidates, even if they're running for a nonpartisan position like tonight, have to be registered Republicans in order to speak before the Republican Club. So if there's a forum coming up that we're having and there's a NPA or a Democrat who's running for that seat, they won't be at this forum. And so you won't hear them speak. You'll have to go to a different type of a forum to hear them speak. So that would be one thing I want you to keep in mind. The other thing is that the evening of the speech, what we've allowed to do is that the candidates can bring information. So as you've seen, you've got candidates here with both Adam Zach and Surrency's names on them. They're supporting their candidate, and that's allowed. And technically, it's allowed if they're not a member of this club. So one of the things the club has to make sure that we do is that we don't appear to be partial to one Republican candidate over the other Republican candidate. What we do as individuals outside of this room or outside of a meeting or what we do on Facebook or social media or what we do at church, that's our business to support our candidate. But when you're here in the club and here at a meeting, we need to stay impartial and be supportive of both the candidates. And if you can't be supportive, you be silent on the issue for the candidates. So that's what we're trying to do. We've been asked about swag. We've seen there's some swag. We told the candidates tonight, and we'll tell the other candidates, if it's your night to come speak, bring your swag. What we're going to do is work with the REC. I don't know. I think they're trying to do something to get a headquarters open back up, so that people could go get swag. In years past, we would say, please go to the REC and pick up your swag. So what we're going to do is have a conversation. Next week is the meeting at the REC, and I'm going to make a call and ask that this issue be put on the agenda. So maybe until such time that happens, we can have swag here for any candidate, Republican, to be picked up. But we'll let you know a little further. So some of this has been put out to you in an email, in the newsletter. We'll put some more information in the newsletter. But know that if you are a Republican, you're welcome to come back to future meetings. You're welcome to join tonight or any night to come and be a member and to be here for the rest of the forums that are going to be coming up in the next few months. So I think that's kind of covered it, and I appreciate it, and on with the show.
Thank you, Rhonda. And just a little bit about the details of the forum tonight. Each candidate will have 10 minutes to give their presentation. We had a flip of the coin to see who goes first, and Rick Surrency will go first. There will be questions allowed. You need to write them on a slip of paper and give them to Barb right here before the end of the presentations. And then We may not get to ask all the questions, but we'll try to get as many as we can. And time allowing, the candidates will be allowed to have a recap at the end of 3 minutes. Any questions on how the forum's going to run? Okay, Yola, come up and introduce our candidates tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming, especially all the new people here at TIF. This evening, our first candidate is the incumbent superintendent of schools. So let's have a big hand for Rick Sorensen.
Good evening, I'm Rick Sorensen. I'm proud to be your superintendent since 2016. And thank you for the opportunity to share my vision and see how far we've come. It's important that we look back. In 2015, our district was in decline. 9 of our 18 schools had a grade of D or F. We had the second worst graduation rate in the state, and we were about to go broke. Fast forward to 2024, we have no schools on the state school improvement list. We have the highest increase in graduation rates in the entire state, and we've improved our district finances. Previously, when people spoke about Putnam County schools, the conversation was not very positive. But these days, you hear about success, overcoming challenges, and a future that looks bright for our children. For the first time, PCSD earned 2 distinguished awards. The 2020 Florida Principal of the Year, Sarah Jean McDaniel, and then I received the 2023 Florida Superintendent of the Year. These awards are not easily won, and they are a reflection of the hard work and achievement of many of our staff and our students. And we're not done. We want a Putnam County teacher to win the Florida Teacher of the Year. This recognition represents the great things happening in our schools and our community. In my 46 years in education, public education, I've served as a paraprofessional, a coach, a teacher, an assistant principal, a principal, and now superintendent. Being the leader of Putnam County's largest employer, I begin each day knowing that I'm responsible for creating a safe and encouraging environment for over 10,000 students and 1,500 dedicated staff. Our staff depends on me to lead with integrity for every decision I make. Decisions that require me to be both confident but humble, quick to react but patient, always thinking of our community as a whole, but never losing sight of each individual child. These skills are not easily acquired. They require trial and error over many years of working with thousands of people in the trenches, doing the hard work. For example, calming an upset student whose only parent went to jail last night. Encouraging the teacher whose test scores may not reflect the many outside hours spent planning for the students she loves. Or explaining to children why they must practice hiding in the corner of their classroom to not be heard or seen by a possible armed intruder. Yes, the work is demanding, but it's rewarding to see what it does for our students and our community. Allow me a few minutes to share some of our highlights. First, we've achieved an increased graduation rate from 54.9% in 2015 to 88.9% in 2023, and we had a peak of 92.5% in 2021. While many people have questioned how we achieved this, or if we are submitting accurate data to the state, I challenge you to review the handout I shared tonight and look at the reports with clear explanation of the data. You'll see that in 2023, 608 of the 684 students in this cohort earned a diploma in the required 4 years through various state statute mandated options, which include earning all credits and passing Florida's end of course exams, earning all credits and passing a comparative exam like the SAT and the ACT, earning all credits and using the waiver of assessment requirements provided by law for students with disabilities, or earning the ACE diploma, which is part of the other graduation options category, and that's for our Cambridge students. 34 of the 76 students who did not meet the diploma requirements in 2023 are in our schools now, working to walk across the stage this May. Our students and staff know how to earn a diploma, and we will continue to use our successful systems from our graduation initiative to reach the goal of 90% grad rate each year. In 2017, 9 of our 17 traditional public schools were a school grade of a D or F. Of those 9 schools, 5 of those 9 schools were in district managed turnaround, and 1 of our schools had an external operator. Today, I'm proud to announce we have 0 schools on the state school improvement list. We've greatly expanded our CTE or career options and acceleration options to help students further their education through college or a vocational trade. We offer 16 different career and technical programs. Recently, we secured significant legislative appropriations for the Building Construction Technologies pathway for 3 of our high schools, and I'm proud of the partnership we've established with Georgia Pacific to offer advanced manufacturing. Acceleration programs are now in all of our high schools, and we partner with this college, St. John's, to offer the collegiate high school where students can earn a college degree with their diploma at no cost to their families. Since 2022, 142 of our graduates earned the rigorous Cambridge ACE diploma, and they secured the Florida Bright Future Scholarship. In 2018, we were challenged to quickly increase our security after the tragic events at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. The Guardian program was created with myself and the sheriff and has been replicated by many other school districts. Today, we have 11 youth resource deputies from the sheriff's office and 46 certified guardians in our 13 schools. Anyone entering our schools will read a sign that says, "Attention, be aware that some of our staff at Putnam County Schools are armed and we will use force to protect our students." We've completed many hardening projects such as buzz-in doors and improved windows and fencing. In February, an audit of our schools was completed by DOE, Office of Safe Schools, and found that 0 suspected safety compliance and best practice issues. Through this work, it became clear that most of our schools were designed and built at a time when the current school safety issues were non-existent. Therefore, the PCSD revitalization plan approved by our school board was developed to provide all students with safe and modern schools. We successfully secured competitive state special facilities funds to rebuild Crescent City Junior Senior High School, and we will seek the same funding for both Interlaken and Palaca Junior Senior High School. Also in the plan is a general obligation bond that was approved by Putnam County voters in November of 2022. To improve our elementary schools, the approved ballot language states that the district shall fund construction, renovation, and replacement of public school facilities throughout the district, including implementation of safety enhancements and instructional technology upgrades. Through feedback from our Bond Oversight Committee, Design Advisory Committees, monthly community engagement sessions, and other meetings with local groups, we are committed to use the bond funds to ensure every child is in a safe and modern classroom. Upon being elected in 2016, I met with our CFO and heard concerns for the steady decline of the district's fund balance reserves. Budget exercises were conducted and hard decisions were made. Through fiscal conservatism, our unrestricted fund balance has increased each year from 4.5% in 16 to 14.3 in 2023. Many questions have been asked about budget and per student spending. Your handout includes the details of our budget, and we're always available to meet and explain our budget and state reports. Our budget has increased, and we're proud of the competitive grants and funds we've secured for our schools. In 2017, our budget was $171 million. Our current budget is $397.8 million. But please know that is not the working budget used to calculate per student spending. To calculate that, you must remove the $220 million for funds that are outlined in your handout, which include $156 million of those funds that are related to construction, as well as $64 million from NEFAC, as we are their fiscal agent. Therefore, our current working budget of $177 million for 10,314 students brings our per pupil spending to $17,163. Being fiscally conservative keeps us competitive. When I took office, beginning teacher pay was close to $36,000. Currently is $47,500, which meets a mandate signed by our governor. We make great efforts to recruit and retain our staff, which shows in our retention rate.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Retention rate for novice teachers increasing from 65% in 2017 to 90% now. I could tell you more about our success, but I sincerely encourage you to reach out to me with questions. I live by the following quote from John Maxwell. My goal is not to live forever, but to create something that does. As your school superintendent, I will continue to put systems in place that will yield success for our students, staff, and community for many generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Now we have he's currently our county commissioner of District 5, and he is running for school superintendent, Paul Adamczak.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. I'm glad that we have this great crowd for the Republican Club. I love this club. I love REC. I love all the clubs in the county. As a lifelong Republican, everything I do is fiscal conservatism, so I'm glad to hear that Rick has that intention if he does win. I'd like to say this I was thinking yesterday, so I actually have gotten a promotion at my regular job, which is with an IT company. And it made me reflect because the increase in salary that I was offered is significant. So thinking back, I was like, I've been asked, a lot of people have asked me the question, why you? Why are you involved in this, right? And then I thought to myself, I said, well, what if I wasn't, right? Where would be the resistance for what's happening in our school district? Where would be the person standing up for our students and for the kids with IEPs that aren't getting what's required, for our teachers who aren't getting what they're required? Think about it, health insurance. We have teachers, and I've received calls from almost 100 teachers at this point that basically are saying, I can't afford to pay for insurance for my children, so I go to work every day, and I work my ass off, and then I can't afford to have insurance for my own children. So think about that. If you're at work all day, every day, and you're trying to help all these other kids, how is your heart in your job if you can't afford to live, and you're going home and you're going, oh, I got to get this Obamacare and this other stuff in order to have my kids have their own insurance, right? So why me? Why me? The reason why it's me is because I'm willing to stand up. I'm here. I'm in front of everybody. I'm willing to stand up and speak the truth and fight for what I believe in. And I believe that every teacher needs to have every aspect that they can in order to succeed. He talked about the per student funding is $17,169. What he didn't talk about is that there isn't a school, when they report their data to the DOE, that is above $12,000. So that's the highest two schools. So where's the other $5,700 going? Who knows? It's not going to the schools, because the highest funded schools are Melrose in the elementary, which is at 11,600 something, and QI Roberts, which is at 12,000 something. That's in DOA. He's required to report accurate numbers to DOE. If he's not, he's violating law. So either that's right or it's wrong. I don't supply the data. He gave you the links. It's in those links. All you gotta do is go to the links and say, hey, look at each school. It lets you, there's a report card literally that lets you drill into every school and can tell you how many teachers, what the cost per school is, and get that data. So enough about that. What are my qualifications that allows me to do this? First of all, the superintendent of schools is the CEO and secretary of the district. That's by state statute. I'm not looking for a job to go into the schools and teach kids individually. Do I feel I'm capable of doing that? Absolutely. I teach kids every week in church on Sunday and then Wednesday night. I've been teaching kids and tutoring kids for my entire adult life. I've coached kids for the past 30 years. But that's not what my intention is. My intention is to lead the district, hire the people, put them in place that are the proper people for the job in order to help me facilitate the district being as successful as possible. We talk about academics. Academics isn't just a graduation rate, right? The graduation rate is one little part. There's 11 measures in the academics of Putnam County. The only reason we're a C is because that graduation rate is so high. If you pull the graduation rate out of the numbers, we're a D district. So that's the first thing. We are in the bottom 10% in social studies, in science, in English and math, district-wide. It's in the numbers, it's on the data. All you gotta do is sort that spreadsheet when you go to the sites that he gave you on his sheet. Sort that spreadsheet, you'll see we're in the bottom 5 to 10 in every measure academically except graduation rate. I consider that a failure. It's straight failure. He ran on being fiscally conservative against his prior incumbent, the prior incumbent, Ms. Griswold. That was about a $3 million project that I wouldn't agree with either. So I agree with you. That should never happen. That office that you sit in should have never been built where it's at. It's been proven that the Campbell building is a viable building. Someone has a school in there today. So that's a whole fiasco. Again, he ran on that. Hey, this is so terrible. She's spending $3 million. She's spending all this money. You put before us $300 million. I sat in this room, literally sitting about where Earl Bellinger is, when 2 years ago, when our superintendent and his staff came and presented this same club a plan for 6 new schools for $300 million, as well as they added, as a teaser, a remodel of QI Roberts. We're nowhere near that now. So where's the disconnect? The disconnect is somewhere between the numbers. Well, they used numbers from pre-COVID to determine the whole plan. Recently, when asked at a meeting, a gentleman actually challenged them on those numbers and said, well, what about the remodeling numbers that you just updated with? And the guy that answered the question, Mr. Woods, said exactly this. He said, well, we still use those same numbers. How can you continue to present a plan to our community and our people and expect us not to be frustrated and not to be angry when the numbers you're utilizing aren't accurate and have no basis in today's world, today's economic world? It's not the superintendent's fault that our economy tanked basically under the leadership of the Democrat Biden. But it is your fault when you don't adjust. I mean, part of being a leader is adjusting to the environment that you're working in. I've made a career out of adjusting to environments I work in. The first company I worked for was EMC Corporation, which stood for us, everything must change. So everything we were always doing was changing. Our environment's always changing. So we talk about STEM, we talk about other things. There's this AI. First of all, just a side note, AI can be very evil, so just watch out for it. The stuff that you're watching on ChatGPT and stuff is a little show. Is not everything that AI is. So the promotion I just had is basically to do the education and training for AI and machine learning for a major Fortune 500 company. So I've done that in the past 5 years of my career. I basically ran the training and development portion of EMC Corporation at the time before we merged with another corporation. Basically globally doing all of our training and all of our training at universities, of partners, of our own resources throughout every campus in this globe. So my job was to direct the 500-some people with about $1.6 billion a year to do that, create the documents, create the training, create the books, create the documents, create the videos, and get everybody out to the world to tell them about our technology. I plan to do that again. If by some chance I lose this, that's my fail-safe, right? I've been challenged by people in the public, and I don't know how many people know me personally. I'm not a big outgoing human being that gets out to all the events and all the things. When I moved to Putnam County, my intent was to live in the woods where I had my home and not be bothered. I got called out because I had some issues with my particular children when my oldest daughter moved down with us with her IEP. So that's what got me involved in politics in Putnam County. I came out of the woods, and literally, Miss Crawford called me the dude from Johnson in the woods when I ran against her. I came out of the woods because someone had to stand up for kids that had IEPs at that time. That hasn't changed today. It still hasn't changed. There's IEPs out there, and that's a contract, between the family, the student, the district. Everyone that signs off on someone's IEP is under obligation to meet their fulfillment of that IEP. The district gets extra funding, which is part of that $17,000, and that funding is supposed to go to the school and the student who has the IEP. Our school with the greatest number of IEPs is Pulaski High School, from the high schools. They're the least funded high school in the district. It doesn't even make sense, because the baseline funding should be the same for every kid. That's the goal of us as Republicans, is that we want school choice, we want money to follow the kids, all that stuff, right? Well, it doesn't work in our district, because if you go to Pulaski, you're getting funded around $9 grand a year, and if you go to QI Roberts, you're getting funded around $12 grand a year. But 27% of the kids in Pulaski are labeled as disabled. The numbers don't add up in anything that he has. His sheet, yeah, sure, the numbers are accurate and pulled off of there. They're the same numbers I'm giving you. It comes from the same exact websites. So it's just how he's spending it is to make himself look better. The only number that is legitimate is the graduation rate, and it's only legitimate because they've affected. He gave you all the numbers for the numerator. The denominator is the number you gotta look at. The denominator hasn't really changed. It's fluctuated by like 50, 60 kids. So he's taken the top number. It's been basically the same. We graduate between 525 and 600 kids every year for the entirety of his career, and the bottom number went from 1,000, which is how you got to 54 point something percent, and is up to 608, I think, wherever it is on the sheet that he just gave you. That's what changed. So how do you get rid of 400 kids? Yeah, the school district shrank. Why did the school district shrink? Well, it's because they're sending kids are withdrawing to go to homeschooling, they're withdrawing to go to private school options, and all that stuff. I got 30 seconds. I just want to close with this. I thank everyone here and appreciate everyone. If you want to talk about teaching kids, let's talk about teaching kids about God. That's the hardest thing to come across. I just did a lesson yesterday about Lazarus and belief. If you want to talk about someone that's capable of teaching kids, if you can teach kids how to believe, you're doing something. God bless everybody.
Okay, now we're going to have some questions.
So we had some questions turned in, and I've gone through the questions, and I thought we'd start with the question that was asked most for the group. So the question that was asked by more people than any other question is, can you share the experiences and qualifications that you believe equip you the superintendent role in Putnam County School District? So who's going first? Yep. Okay.
So it's kind of interesting. This is something I addressed today on Facebook. So my experience is vast. I started off my living, working career in the United States Navy as a nuclear electrician's mate between Power School and Prototype. I basically got disqualified medically, went into electronics technical course school, where I graduated #1 in my class, and then I went off to Aegis Weapons class, where I graduated #1 in my class. I chose my orders, the USS Philippine Sea, hoping that I would go on a ship, and they basically said, nope, you and the other 2 top graduates are going to the Pentagon, so we worked and did drug ops for the last year of my Navy career. I enjoyed that very much. My experience in the corporate world started off in training, in education. I went all over the globe. I flew to Japan. I flew to all over the globe basically to disperse information on our IT company, which was EMC Corporation at the time, which is the storage giant, which a lot of people don't know about because we bought a lot of other companies like Legato and things like that. But I've been working in education for basically the whole of my career. Been working in leadership. I have a fellowship from U of F in leadership. Just continuously working on growing myself and growing others. Been a coach for 30 plus years, and that's my qualifications. It's pretty basic. I'm not coming to you with a doctorate degree, but what has a doctorate degree gotten us in the last 8 years?
Like I said in earlier comments, I'm a career educator. Started in the classroom in 1978, and I'm currently in my 46th year. But again, I've experienced the things at every aspect in the school district, from an instructional assistant to a teacher to a dean, assistant principal, and now 8 years as a superintendent. And being a superintendent of a 10,000 student school district is a unique experience, and it calls for unique leadership. And yes, I have a doctorate in educational leadership, but more than that, I've been in the trenches, I've been a teacher, I know what teachers experience, and I know about kids because I've been working with kids since the 70s. And there's a lot to say about having the background of an educator. And again, just being a CEO of a corporation is a lot different than leading a school district. So again, we've been through a lot over the last 8 years. We're moving the district, and we're doing that because I've had experience that I brought from my many years in the classroom and in the school. So that's basically the background I have as an educator.
All right, the question that was the next most asked is, could you elaborate on your vision for optimal class sizes within our schools and how you intend to secure funding for these changes?
I guess we're flip-flopping, is that correct? Yes. First of all, the state funds school districts based on the constitutional amendment class size, which is 18 for K-3, it's 21 for 4 to 8, and 22 for 4 to 8, and 25 for 9 through 12. So we receive funding based on that amount. And again, we allocate teachers based on that. So if somebody's going to say they're going to fund or they're going to have class sizes at 14 to 1, then my question is, where in the heck are you going to get that extra money? Because the state bases that on a per pupil amount. So again, my plan is we're training teachers, we're providing the best teachers, and we're following the class size. And as a matter of fact, he mentioned some things about the cost per student, and I'll get to that later. But again, if you have a smaller school that has overhead, the cost per student is going to be more. If you have a large school like Palatka High School, the per pupil, per student funding or cost is going to be less because of the economy of scale. Every school has to have a principal, assistant principal, custodians. So those smaller schools, the cost will be up. But again, we are funded at the state mandated class size amendment, and we actually fund ESC students based on one student less per class size. Thank you.
So I'll straight up tell you that my goal is 15 to 1, not 14 to 1, but I would love to get to 14 to 1. And where you get it is from that difference between the 10,000 something that actually is documented in DOE, that the superintendent documents DOE is the average per student cost of the district, and that's 17,000, because that other $7,000 is being spent outside of the schools. It's being spent somewhere else in the district. So whether that's district employees or it's the what we call the ivory castle, like I think you referred to it when you were running against Ms. Criswell, whether it's in those particular facilities or not, I don't know, because I don't have that level of data, I don't have that level of access until I win. But basically there's $7,000 that he's documented on a piece of paper that he gave everyone in here. That's the difference between what's reported to the state DOE and what's actually spent on the kids here in Putnam County. So that's how you fund 15 to 1.
Okay, our next question is, this afternoon's school board meeting discussed shortage of money to build more schools. What will you do to address the shortages?
I would beg the superintendent to slow his roll and stop this madness of building 6 schools or whatever the number is that he's saying now, because it actually depends on who he's talking to and where he's speaking, whether it's 3 or whether it's 6. In his own podcast Saturday, he said 6. In the newspaper, they said 6. And this is literally just 2 weeks ago that he had his podcast. And then his officials say 3 schools and remodels of 4. So I don't even know if they have a clue where they're at. So we need to step back. I was against the school bond from the beginning, so I just want to be straight with that. So I am actually an advocate against the school bond, so I'm not going to lie about that. I am. But the bottom line is we have the $300 million. The way that we get to where we don't spend it all is we don't have to spend it all. So we need to take a step back. I think he's going to accelerate his program, which they announced today. Basically, they're going to break ground in one of the schools next week. They're accelerating their program, and that's going to really cause chaos for us economically in this community, because that $300 million adds up to about $700 million when the bond's fully paid. So let's just stop building schools and fix the ones we have.
First of all, I'll remind you that the voters of Putnam County approved the bond issue last November 22nd. And the bond issue is to provide schools and safe facilities for our students, who I believe deserve as much as students in St. Johns County, Alachua County, any other district. So I don't apologize for the fact that we are out using bond money that our citizens voted on to build our schools. And yes, because of inflation, we've had to pivot and make some changes. But you know what? We're still going to provide the best possible facilities for our students district-wide. In addition to that, we're getting state money to build new high schools. Again, that's not going to cost taxpayers a dime in Putnam County. But again, if we expect our students to be like students around us, we need to provide those same resources. Our students deserve the best and safest place, because schools we have now were built at a time, and I mentioned this earlier, were built at a time when safety was not a big issue like it is now. I'm willing to spend whatever we have to do to protect our kids and keep them safe. Thank you.
All right, so our format tonight was to have each candidate give a 10-minute talk, which they've done, for us to have each of them address the same question, and we had 3. So now it comes time for a wrap-up. So each candidate will be given their time to wrap up tonight. It'll be 3 minutes each.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And again, we're about providing information to give you the best way to go out and make an informed decision when you vote. I do want to say I'm the candidate that has experience, and I've proven that with what our school district has accomplished. There's been a lot of misinformation shared on Facebook from my opponent, and I think the fact is he doesn't understand the context of running a school district and provides a lot of erroneous information to get people riled up. For example, the graduation rate was information that was totally false, and we provided that information for you. And to make accusations of me that we're doctoring the numbers, he's totally wrong. And the fact is, this gentleman is here trying to become the superintendent of schools. He's never walked into a school that I'm aware of, doesn't know what teachers experience, and sure as heck doesn't know what principals and other superintendents experience. And I'm telling you, we are moving in a positive direction, and we're gonna do that with proven leadership. But somebody that stands up here and just continues to bash the school district and has no plan and doesn't understand how it works, I'd be pretty scared about the way things are going if he's in charge. So again, he's throwing some things out, I'm gonna throw some things back, and we're gonna continue getting better with this school district under my leadership, and I would expect and ask that people get behind us and continue to do what we're doing. We're actually creating and have created a K-12 STEM initiative in our school district, and we're on the verge of being the first school district in the entire United States to be accredited as a school district as far as STEM goes. And we provide a lot of the pathways for students to go into STEM careers for jobs that don't even exist yet. So we're providing those pathways, those opportunities for kids that a lot of other districts who might even be more well off. We partner with other districts, partner with business partners, we partner with nonprofits. We provide our students with the resources and the training, and our teachers get the training to provide them with really 21st century skills. Our building construction academies, we're trying to position our students for careers. Not all students go to college, but our kids are going to be successful because we are listening to what the economic needs are, the job opportunities, and we're going to put our kids to work or allow them to go to college where they can be successful. Kids have choices, and we're trying to give that to them. And I think you're going to see our graduation rate will continue to improve because kids see school as an opportunity to improve their life. Thank you very much.
There's not a piece of data that I've put out on Facebook that doesn't come from exactly the websites that he shared with you on that sheet. So I challenge each and every one of you, and I hope everyone in this community goes to those websites and actually does the research for themselves, draws their own conclusion, because all the data is there. Everything that I put is cut and pasted from there or from the district website itself. So I'm not creating any data, I'm not falsifying any data. It comes straight from DOE, it comes straight from the stuff that you provide. Superintendent is required by law to provide accurate data. So if any data that I provided isn't accurate, he's breaking the law. So it's that simple. So you can say whatever he wants about my integrity, about whether I'm telling the truth or not, but it's your data, it's not my data. So we'll just leave it at that. For that goes, I look forward to serving as the superintendent of schools. And again, the job as the CEO and secretary of the schools. It doesn't require me to go and be in every school. And by the way, I've been to almost every school that you have in the district. And that's how I know that the schools don't need to all be replaced. But to say something on the school bond, because you brought it up again, the bottom line is, sure, we passed the bond initiative, but no one here, when they went and did their dog and pony show, everyone believed what they were being told, because we had trust in him. The last election that he had, I went door to door for him. I had trust in him. We lost trust in the current superintendent because he lied to us. I don't care how you cut it. You can't stand here 2 weeks before the last election and say, we're going to build 6 new schools and remodel the other one, and then say, sorry, like literally 3 weeks later, after it passes, guys, we don't have enough, and they actually start portraying that we're going to do 3 schools or 4 schools. We don't know. That's what I'm upset about as far as the bond goes. But the bottom line is the bond has nothing to do with why I ran. That just happened to fall in my lap as a candidate because he runs everything terribly. So, thank you.
Well, that was some lively exchanges of information. Thank you very much to both of you. You guys will need to keep your eye on Facebook and keep your eye on the Supervisor of Elections Office website. They list there the forums that are coming up in the future that you can also attend and hear these candidates again. In the meantime, please, we're going to continue with the program, but once we finish here, what I would like to remind you all is that up at the front desk, we do have petitions. There are a number of our candidates that still need petitions signed, and there's some swag up there to take, business cards and bumper stickers. So, please do that for us, but give us a few more minutes of your time, and let's let David finish up our meeting.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Rick. Okay, upcoming events. Would like for you to visit our new calendar. On this little sheet of paper in front of you is the website for that calendar. You may want to bookmark it, and that way you can easily check our calendar to see what events are going on, what we've got planned as the club, and what other political events are going on. There are a lot of upcoming events. The big one, of course, is the county fair. Starts the 22nd of this month, goes to the 30th. There will be, we will have a booth, several candidates will have a booth, the REC will have a booth. So if you go to the fair, you can pick up a lot of information and see a lot of candidates because a lot of the candidates will be there at the fair. Our next club board meeting will be April 4th, and this will be at Pizza Boys. Anybody is welcome to come to our board meetings. Our next club meeting is April the 11th, and there we will have a legislative update from Bobby Payne, and we'll also have our state senate candidate Tom Leake to give a presentation. And then at the end of April, we have the Blueberry Festival on April 27th, always a big event, and the Veterans Freedom Fest also on April 27th. And there'll be a lot more events in May, June, July, but that's where we stand right now. Okay, anybody got any questions that I can answer, try to answer? I'd like to close with one short little story, maybe it's a little comical. In San Francisco, there's this church. Sunday morning, services going, everybody sitting in the pews. All of a sudden, the doors blow open, and a big gust of wind and fire come through the door, and the devil himself comes into the church. All the parishioners are running for the doors, except for one elderly gentleman named Paul sitting on the front row. The devil sees him, goes over to him and says, "Paul, why aren't you afraid of me?" Paul says, "I've been married to Nancy Pelosi for 50 years. And you ain't nothing." Okay, any other business to bring forth? I'll close the meeting and we'll have the drawing for the 50-50. Thank you for coming. And anybody that wants to join the club, please do so. It's only $25. Thank you.
Anybody want any more tickets? No. No. I didn't like the way you said that.
Any more tickets?